Hi, welcome back to Bear Bacon. Today we're going to make a spooky coffin-shaped bookcase. And it might seem complex with the different angles you have to work out, but really there's only two that you need to know. The angles for the top and the angles for the bottom. For the top I used 10 degrees, and for the bottom I used 6 degrees. And I found those just essentially Googling coffin plans online. And you have a couple options. You can use the miter saw like I did for the first ones, or you can use table saw and tilt your blade to 80 degrees, so you're 10 degrees off 90, and then cut your boards that way using a crosscut sled. And here I just essentially had to modify my sled a little bit with the angled cut. And you can see now I can use that just to make sure I get my cuts lined up right. And it's important, it was for me anyway, to make sure that each piece was the same length. If they're not the same length, then the angle isn't going to work anymore. You could make it to where it looks like a lopsided coffin with different size lengths, but then you need to figure out the angles and all that, and I wasn't interested in doing all that. And I was making this for a friend, and we had pretty much agreed on the shape already, so I was sticking to that plan. And then once the pieces are cut, I added some fire. This is just to give it a nice kind of old look, like it's kind of an old, possibly used coffin. Just kind of lightly torch the wood. This is also the reason I used pine. I think it gives it a really nice look, whereas other types of wood might not look quite as nice. It might not be as much of a contrast between the burn and the char and the plain blonde wood. And this just took a little bit. Did each side of all the pieces. And once you get going, you can just kind of really find the best way to do it. Just making passes back and forth. Just hold, you don't have to hold the torch on there very long to make it look good. And the buddy I was making this for wanted it purple, so I found this stuff, Unicorn Spit, that worked pretty well. It's a glaze, and you can mix it with water to water it down. And then, so I did that, just mixed it up in a mason jar, and then just wiped it on with a shop towel. I did 2 coats of it. 1 coat wasn't quite enough, but with the second coat on there, it really just gave it a nice purple, as you can see here once it dried. And then I did go back later and stain the edge of the board here. But now I'm just essentially starting to assemble. I'm just using screws to hold it in place so I can at least start getting things together, so I can get all the shelves measured out before I finally assemble it. And here I got pretty excited when I could see it actually take shape and be the shape that I want it to be and the size that I want it to be. I was worried as I was building it that the angles wouldn't work and it would look like a coffin for like Danny DeVito, really short and fat. And this took me longer to figure out than it probably should have. Trying to decide how to attach the top half to the bottom half. I knew I was going to have a shelf right there. And finally I just decided I can attach the shelf to the top half so it's its own little sub-assembly. And then use pocket holes on the bottom vertical pieces. And essentially just pocket hole it onto there, like you see me doing here. Because pocket holes won't really be seen, and I made sure to stain inside of them so they just blend in. And it's plenty structurally sound. And then it was a matter of getting the shelves attached. These, I didn't film myself cutting them. It's the same method. These are all 6-degree angles on the side, so the angles match the sides. And then just measure and cut the length for wherever you want to place them. And again, I'm just pocket holing these in place. Again, plenty strong. I don't have a dado stack, and I didn't want to try to make a dado angled like that without one, with a router or anything. So, just pocket holes was the way I went. And then here I put the middle pocket hole in, and then I used clamps to kind of pull each shelf to make sure it was level on both sides. Equal distance from the shelf above it. Starting with the top shelf, working my way down. Just making sure that they're all level, and there's not one that put something round on, it's going to roll off the front of the bookcase or back to the back where it'll never be seen. And then with it assembled, I could essentially lay it down on this hardboard and trace out the shape to make for the backing. And this I just used a Sharpie and then grabbed a jigsaw and cut outside the line, because I'm not great with a jigsaw, so I didn't want to try to cut right on the line. I figured I would cut the piece too big, attach it, and then you'll see me in a bit. I go back and use the router with a flush trim bit and just zip around it and get it all flushed up. And here I almost put it on backwards. I painted it black, the side that would be facing inside the bookcase, to have a nice black background on it, and I almost put it on backwards. And this is me, the first nail I shot in came out of the side of the bookcase. I thought I was very careful to make sure I had the nail gun set up right, turned the right way, so that if the nail decided to kind of curve off to the side, it would not come out of the side, but I was wrong. And first one just zip right outside. After that, got that fixed, got the nail out, patched that up, and the rest of it was really simple. And then here on the seam I just used the air stapler instead of a nail gun so I could get both pieces attached at once. And this is me just trimming those edges like I mentioned before. And I threw a couple coats of polyurethane on it. I also added a little bit of the purple dye to the polyurethane just to kind of make it pop a little bit more, because after I sanded it, it kind of lost a little of the color, but I think that little bit in the polyurethane really just helped it get a nice even purple on there. Overall, I'm really happy with how this one turned out. It was a pretty straightforward project. I thought it was going to be more complicated than it was, but it went well, and a nice project to do right around Halloween time. It just kind of worked out that way. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you want to see more videos, be sure to subscribe. Share this one whoever you think would like it. And have a wonderful rest of your day.